So lately I've been making videos a little longer, mostly so I can pander to the algorithm and do mid-roll ads. I mean, just because I have so much more to say. So I figured I'd continue that with something a little fun. Welcome to Figure Freak Off. This is a new segment where essentially we take two figures of the same character and pin them off to see which is the better one. I will say though, today might be a case of an unfair matchup, because today's subject is everyone's favorite femme fatale spider-themed transformer, aside from her. That's just another black Airachnid. Oh, now you're just being stupid. It's Airachnid! Airachnid was introduced for Transformers Prime and was a fantastic new addition to the world of Transformers. Like, sure, we had spider Transformers before, but one that was a spider and her alt mode was a helicopter? That's just awesome. And couple that with a terrifying, sadistic personality, a great voice, and probably the best design out of Prime, and you had one heck of a cast member. Airachnid's design was definitely the best of the new characters in Prime, really fitting that really odd animated Super Toony and angular look with the Baver's hyper-detailed alien look. And in honor of her resurgence in Transformers 1, let's do a comparison between two figures of her. First up, from the fourth wave of the original Prime toy line, we have Deluxe Airachnid, which, well, you might have heard about before. She has a bit of a reputation. But from parts unknown, aka China, we have APC Toys with Night Countess. Now there is quite the time difference between these toys, but to be fair, just because it's newer doesn't mean it's better. See also Thrilling 30 Rhinox vs War for Cybertron Rhinox. So we'll go about this as I normally do with reviews. Aesthetics, features, articulation, stalling for time with trivia, and then transformation and alt mode. And regardless of who ends up winning, they have quite the undertaking, because Prime is unfortunately a really difficult to execute design language in transformable toy form. They're very simple in body, but complicated in detailed design language means when it comes to translating the designs over to transformable toy form, a lot of them come across as very cumbersome and kinda awkward. Prime as a show may be one of Transformers' best, but its toy line, not so much. And that's very evident with poor Airachnid here with her original Prime figure, which, yeah, get a load of this. Like, they got a lot of the body right, but then they remembered she has to become a helicopter. She is just covered in these panels, and they all look just so ugly. Not helping is the cockpit, which, that's just unsightly. I'm trying to think of what it looks like she's being eaten by an orca whale, and when you stand her up, she just looks like this non-Euclidean object that just looks wrong. And not to be racist, but could you be any blacker? Her design in the show had a lot more blue and gold bits that helped to make a very distinct character design. But here, it's just a shadowy lump that's so dark it's absorbing what little colors there are. It's such a boring look. You got no riz, girl. Or even arms. She has these weird, not even arms with horrifying gaping holes in her hands. It reminds me of the weird mouth hands from Vampire Hunter D. Night Countess, on the other hand, is so much better. It's a much cleaner design with a lot more room to breathe. She has proper arms this time around. Her colors actually match her on-screen appearance. Sure, she still has some big panels, but they're a lot more under control compared to before. Granted, it is bigger, so it has more to work with, but then again, it's not that much bigger, still within what I'd say is the deluxe size class, or at most a lower Voyager. She even scales alright with original Prime figures, whereas the original is a little too short. Even the face is a lot better, with much more prominent eyes and some salacious Coral No. 2 blue lipstick. The original face isn't bad, and it does have some light piping that doesn't work due to all this kibble. And from the back, Night Countess is just a lot more cleaned up, with all the kibble being retained to this much smaller backpack. Whereas the original, yeesh. Now for accessories. Night Countess doesn't come with much, just the sweet box and foam inserts, which is a rarity even for third-party figures. The only proper accessories are these awesome spider legs that you just attach to her back, and now she can walk about like the itsy-bitsy spider she is. Though I will say they don't go in the best. Meanwhile, Prime Deluxe doesn't come with much, just these space lobster claws? What the hell are these things? Did she ever use them in the show? Oh well, they're on 5mm pegs, so that's another piece for the mech tech pile. I guess the helicopter blades are another play feature, and to be fair for Prime Deluxe, the spider legs on this are decently articulated, being on ball joints, and the center leg can be hooked over and attached onto her hood if you don't want them to spin anymore, something that Night Countess doesn't have. Though Night Countess is better overall still thanks to having even more maneuverability and also just being bigger and more intimidating, whereas Prime Deluxes are a little stumpy. Articulation-wise, Night Countess is great fun, with really nice head, shoulder, elbow, wrist, waist pivot, ab, and full leg articulation with really good knees. Sometimes the paneling can get in the way, but overall this is still a highly posable, fun to play with figure. She can actually pull off some really nice poses, and with her very dynamic design, she looks great doing anything you put her in. Prime Airachnid, meanwhile, okay, so here's the thing. This figure is a common target online, with a lot of people calling it the worst Transformers toy ever, and one of the key points is the articulation, which, yep, this thing is an absolute brick. It's even living inside of one. Head articulation is there, but the kibble gets in the way. Shoulder articulation is barely there because the panels get in the way. There is elbow and wrist articulation, but only on a vertical axis and looks disgusting at certain positions. There is leg articulation, but as you'd probably guess, the panels keep getting in the way. This is the most the legs can go out. They can go back a little bit. She can split her legs, but not by much, especially compared to Night Countess. The knees are okay at least, so she can at least pose like she's burdened by all this kibble. This figure is just an absolute pain to pose. She just can't do anything. The most she can do is her best C-3PO impression. R2-D2, where are you? Robots-wise, it's a hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby approach. But can the vehicle mode turn things around for Prime Deluxe? Not really. The transformation for Deluxe Airachnid isn't the worst ever, but not ideal either. It's basically a tummy time transformer where you kinda just fit the panels together, and that's it really. Though to be fair, Night Countess isn't the best ever either, though there is a bit more going on at least. Plus I do give credit, it's a third-party transformer that isn't an absolute headache to transform, and you don't need the manual for much. Deluxe has a much more angular copter, which is more accurate to the show. I do like that the cockpit comes up with a bit of a seat for something if you have a figure small enough. Also, you can attach anything with a 5mm post in her side, so that's actually pretty fun. Though I gotta say, the legs for a robot mode are pretty obvious. Night Countess in comparison is rounder, but also more substantial, especially on the underside, which is a bit chunky. The cockpit doesn't open sadly, though the blades are a lot bigger and more aerodynamic. Though it sadly has the same problem as the other in regards to her legs, probably even more so with the blue on her heels, making it more obvious. But both are alright alt modes. Whichever is better is up for preference. Personally, I prefer Night Countess in this regard, but I can go either way. Also, I think it is really funny that both essentially look like decapitated corpses underneath, which mind you, quartz-powered Cybertron tech wouldn't be out of place in the early days of Prime. So there we go. 2 Airachnids, and it must be said after who am I kidding? Of course Night Countess won! Prime Deluxe Airachnid is one of the absolute worst Transformers toys ever. It's barely posable, looks hideous, and it's just horrifically bad. And to make it worse, it was outdone by a Legends class figure. Yeah, those really tiny ones, that is actually more posable and more fun than this thing. And this is one of the only figures of Airachnid that's officially been made. Because outside of that Legends one, all that there is that god-awful one-step changer for Transformers 1 that's not even the right vehicle! Meanwhile, Night Countess is an absolute treat of a robot with a decent helicopter to go with it. It's not super extravagant, but it didn't have to be. All I wanted was a good Airachnid figure, and that's what I got. I kind of appreciated simplicity actually. Like so many third-party figures feel like they're aiming to be the best movie Prime ever or the best G1 Megatron ever with big sizes, overly complicated transformations and such. Meanwhile, APC Toys are keeping things nice and simple, and I really appreciate that. Whereas the official one felt like a bootleg. Also, price-wise, it's pretty affordable for a third-party figure, which makes it even better. For the price, Night Countess is well worth it. Sure, it took 10 years for us to get a proper Airachnid figure, but it happened, and it was good. Also, APC Toys, I don't know if you're watching, but and maybe you're already working on it, but any chance of a decent knockout? Please? So tell me, which did you feel deserved to win? Okay, we all know who the winner was, but how about this? Who is your favorite spider-themed Transformer? Because there have been quite a few. Let me know in the comments, and please subscribe. Oh, now you're just being stupid. It's Airachnid! Meanwhile, AP Soy? Whoa. Let me know in the comments, and please subscribe. Why did I snap? That's dumb.